Cats on Campus, a new commencement speaker, and multiple on-campus events from February. All of that on this edition of BVTV News.
From BVTV Studios on the campus of Buena Vista University in Storm Lake, Iowa, this is BVTV News.
It is with great sadness that the BVU community mourns the loss of one of its members. On Friday afternoon, freshman Evan Edwards was involved in a car accident and passed away on February 26th from injuries. Edwards was a member of the men's soccer team. For students wanting to talk, campus chaplain Melanie Hauser is holding special hours this week in the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, or appointments that can be scheduled with a counselor by emailing andersonj@bvu.edu. While graduation gets closer for BVU's seniors, this year's commencement speaker is Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial writer Art Cullen. Cullen is an editor and a publisher for the local paper, the Storm Lake Times, and has been supportive of BVU and the community around it for many years. President Lensmeyer says that Buena Vista University is delighted to have Art Cullen serve as our commencement speaker this spring. Cullen grew up in Storm Lake with the opportunity to watch the Beavers compete as he grew up, showing his long-standing history with the university. Recently, in BVU's Center for Diversity and Inclusion, an event was held discussing LGBTQ+ identity erasure. Andrew Fox held the event in order to bring more attention to issues not only outside of the community, but inside of it as well.
Erasure is everywhere for identities such as asexual, bisexual, pansexual, two-spirited. So it's not a surprise to others when they're rejected at times, even by someone within their own community.
The event was held in a manner that allowed students to actively take part in the conversation, to ask questions, provide their own stories, and more.
It was a presentation/conversation. I wanted to make it like the melt conversations we have sometimes in the CDI or the underground, where you bring up a presentation of information and then you create a conversation with questions.
Andrew wishes to hold more events like this in the future to continue to raise awareness of this issue. BVU's Counseling Services held an online information session on February 15th for future graduate students. This session was with a member of our counseling faculty that discussed the counseling as a profession as well as what a hybrid learning environment could provide for our students. As a whole, students who attended the session were able to learn about multiple experiences as well as opportunities that were available to them. On Tuesday, February 22nd, the student group MELT held a couch conversation in the form of a venting session for anything on students' minds. In the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, students could come and go from 7 to 8 p.m. in order to release any held-in stress in a welcome environment. The event, put on by Joshua Dunsbergen, was a welcome option for students to relax as midterms approached. And now for stories from the TAC. Dr. Tab London is a recent hire to BV, teaching English 101 as well as 102, among other courses. Dr. London also helps teach a writing seminar course that is seen as essential due to the constant increase in the amount of digitally based content that we consume daily, both academically and for leisure. For more information, read the full article co-edited by Jaden Forbes at bvtac.com. After a sudden resignation from the head of residence life, student success on campus has had to take over many duties in order to help assist in the day-to-day life of the residence halls on campus. While various parts of the transition have been going smoothly, there are still areas that can be difficult to manage without a head of residence life. Read the full article by Blake McMillan at bvtac.com. We had a fantastic month of February for sports. Here to bring you more details is BVTV's Austin West. Austin?
Thanks, Joshua. As the weather begins to warm for a few days at a time between snowstorms, we've once again seen one of the busiest parts of the athletics seasons. First, we begin with the athletic postseasons. To wrap up their regular season, BVU Wrestling had their annual ballroom brawl against American River's conference rival Nebraska Wesleyan. The Beavers decided to end the season on a high note as they would steamroll the Prairie Wolves in the duel 42-6. Thanks to help from a few of the senior wrestlers, including Byron Fleming and Don Phillips II, BVU racks up 6 total pins to lead the Beavers to the postseason. Wrestling headed to Loras College for their postseason run to compete in the Lower Midwest Regional Tournament. Don Phillips II would take 8th and would be the only Beaver to place. Track and field also had their conference championship this weekend with multiple place winners. Senior Becca Simpson was a champion in shot put and placed 3rd in weight throw with a new school record. Sophomore Jessica Sump placed 2nd in women's long jump. Senior Garrett Bates took 3rd in the men's pole vault, and sophomore Skylar Cole tied for 3rd in women's high jump. The men placed 7th with a score of 23 points, and the women placed 5th with 54.5 points. That's the highest team place from a BVU women's team since 2013, which was also 5th. As for men's basketball, they found themselves in the American Rivers Conference Championship game for the 2nd year in a row this last Saturday against the University of Dubuque. As head coach Trevor Johnson stated on Twitter following the game, it was a bad day to have a bad day, as the Beavers would fall short with a 71-52 loss to end their hard-fought season here in 2022. Regular seasons are also in effect here at Buena Vista, as baseball and softball have started playing games around the Midwest. Baseball played their first games on February 19th and picked up a 3-game sweep over Hamline University to sit comfortably at 3-0. Meanwhile, softball played more games this past weekend, winning 1 and losing 1 to move their record to 3-3 overall. Finally, in esports, multiple teams are ranked in the top 3 for their respective leagues. The Rainbow Six Siege team is currently tied for 3rd at 3-1 in the Eastern College Athletic Conference. In that same conference, Zach Huffman is currently undefeated and tied for 1st in the Xbox Madden rankings, while Amir Abbar is tied for 3rd at 2-1 in the NBA 2K PlayStation rankings. For more information on these stories and other sports updates, go to bvuathletics.com.
Well, it sounds like we have been having some fantastic time in sports this month, Austin.
Absolutely.
All around in
Can't
all
beat
of
it.
our sports. Thank you. BVU students are being offered the chance to let go of some stress through the Center of Diversity and Inclusion by giving students the opportunity to hang out with a furry friend. BVTV's Joshua Tigas brings us the story.
With midterms quickly approaching, the stress load on students' shoulders is increasing. However, the Center for Diversity and Inclusion has introduced a new way for students to relieve academic stress.
Reepicheep has been making weekly appearances in the CDI and taking full advantage of the attention he can get. Campus chaplain Dr. Melanie Hauser describes why she decided to introduce cat petting therapy and how it has been helping.
I think he was born to be a therapy cat, and so I brought him in here because I know, especially at this point in the semester, it starts getting really stressful, and so it's nice for students to have a place to just come chill and let go of all the stress.
One of those students, Brenda Jo Quigley, stressed how important animals are to relieving stress, especially in an academic atmosphere.
It lets them relax, and cats can go off emotions. Any animal can and reflect it, and you can just calm down and stuff.
Dr. Hauser continued on to express how she was able to bring this unique opportunity to students and the success it has had so far this semester.
I asked around to see what requirements there were, and they said, okay, you need to make sure that your animal has all its shots and things like that. If it was a dog, it would probably need some training, but there's no training a cat. Some weeks we've got 5 or 6 or 7 students in here all trying to give him belly rubs at the same time.
As Reepicheep wanders around the CDI, there's one thing for sure. He'll always find his way to your lap. The companionship brought by such a small animal has allowed students to express issues they would not otherwise be able to discuss.
Yeah, I think the students that come to visit relax a lot, and things that might be stressing them out that they wouldn't normally talk to somebody about, it's just easier to talk about when you're petting a cat.
With the rise in awareness for mental health, BVU has introduced new ways for students to relieve stress. Anyone wanting to make a new furry little friend can come down to the Center for Diversity and Inclusion every Thursday from 4 to 5. I'm Joshua Tigas, BVTV News.
That's all we have for you in this edition of BVTV News. I'm Joshua Wolcott. Go make it a great day, and we'll see you next time.